What's up, guys? If you go to auctions, you know right now there are a ton of these Chinese excavator attachments that sell relatively cheaply at pretty much all of the equipment auctions. I've bought a few of them, used them around the yard. We bought the box sweepers, I've had some buckets, some different things, and I've had okay luck. But today I figured I would make a video or a review on this open sweeper. I'm going to take it to my house and use it there on my concrete driveway. We just got done doing some work there, and there is a ton of gravel on the concrete, and I'm hoping I can use that to just sweep everything back towards the gravel part of the driveway. Anyways, let's get this thing loaded up, strapped down. We'll get to the house, unload it with the skid steer, and get started. Alright, I've got it hooked up, and the first thing that I notice is that these cylinders do not hold it at all. So this thing, basically under its own weight, will just sort of free spin. I was hoping that I could ignore that function and just leave it straight, or even just a little bit turned, and use it without having to worry about that. Because I looked at the instructions the other day, and basically to get this angle function to work, you have to hook that solenoid up to this controller directly to your battery. It's not that big of a deal. I guess I'll probably go ahead and do that just so we can get a true test with it. I just hate to have this wire basically running from here into the cab and risk damaging it, but I guess that's the risk you take anytime you plan to use it. So, well, it started to rain yesterday, so I did not get this finished, but I am ready to hook up this switch for the directional valve, and then we should be ready to test it. This looks pretty simple to hook up. We basically put these two ends to the battery, one for 12 volt and one to ground, and then you just hook this plug into the solenoid down there, and then this switch should basically just be a two-way switch. So one way should make the broom function, and then when you switch it to the other way, it should make the cylinders function for the angle. So you would switch it, set the angle however you want it, and then switch it back, and the broom should be functional. But anyways, let's get this hooked up and we'll be good to go. Okay, I've got everything hooked up now, and I've still got to get the floor plate put back in over the battery. I'm going to show you in just a second how I hooked that up. But when I press the switch, I can hear the solenoid clicking. So that at least tells me that it's hooked up and functioning. In a second, I'll get all this put back together, and then before we do anything else, I'll hook the hydraulic lines up and just test the functions and make sure that I've got both functions. The other thing that I'm going to have to do before I can use it is remove these legs that it's standing on, or else the broom won't be able to lower down. It's pretty straightforward and simple to hook up, but let me show you how I did it. That way, in case you buy one, you'll already know how to do it. This is straightforward and easy. It only goes on one way. This was angled towards the bottom, but you can loosen this black nut on the back of the solenoid and get it to spin around, and then retighten that down so this is on the top to make it more accessible. And now in these cases, the battery is in the floorboard. Ignore how dirty it is under there. I've got to get this machine cleaned out. But I just backed the nuts off of the terminals a little bit, and unfortunately the connectors on the ends of the wires were not big enough to go around the steel stud, so I just sort of shoved them in between the terminal and the nut and then tightened them down. That'll work. If I was to leave this on this machine permanently, I would probably get connectors or eyelets that are the right size. That way they couldn't wiggle free and out of there. But that's pretty much all you do to hook it up. Now the rest of this wire, I would find a better way to store it. For this machine, This wire I'm gonna have to run down to this side and come out where this wiring harness is right here, or else it's going to get pinched between this floor plate and the frame of the machine. I don't want that to happen, so I will run that there, and then if I were to leave this in this machine, I would probably find a way to secure this up here on the side or something, but this is very, very temporary on this machine. I'm only going to use it this one time. Well, as you can see, everything was working like it was supposed to. The angle adjustment seemed a bit violent, especially when I had the loader arms in the air. When I would adjust the broom head, the arms would basically shake on the machine, and that thing was very, very touchy. But when I lowered the arms all the way down and adjusted it, it seemed to work a lot better. But anyways, all there is left to do is try it. Everything's hooked up on the skid steer and we're good to go, but I just wanted to show you what we're attempting to clean up before we get started. So I've had a bunch of projects in my front yard with planting these trees and clearing out some brush. And so in the process of that and the rain, all of this gravel has washed down onto the concrete part of my driveway. So basically I'm going to start down here with the skid steer and just try to sweep all of this gravel back up the concrete and onto the gravel part of the driveway. Hopefully it doesn't fling rocks too far. If it does, I'm going to have to move some stuff around up there. Well, there's not much to talk about because you guys saw how well it performed. I am definitely satisfied with how it worked. I will say I am glad that it rained last night and the material was at least partially wet. You can still see the wet spots on the driveway. If it was completely dry, that would have been an extremely, extremely dusty job. So if you were to run one of these every day, I would probably suggest having an enclosed cab machine, which actually that is an enclosed cab machine. I just have the front door off because the air conditioning doesn't work. But overall, definitely very satisfied. Well guys, I hope that helps you, especially if you're on the fence about picking one of these up. I definitely would suggest it. I literally paid $500 for this attachment. Depending on the auctions around you, they're going anywhere from $400, $500, $600 if you're getting a good deal, up to $1,000 or $1,200. I still think that there is significant value there if you can pick one up. We use the box brooms all the time around the scrapyard, and we have a Bobcat brand, and then we also have a couple of these cheap ones from the auction. To replace just the bristles on the Bobcat brand is somewhere between $700 and $800, and I was able to buy the entire box brooms for $500. So basically what I'm going to start doing going forward is anytime the box brooms are going for $500 or less, I'm just going to buy several of them, and then as we use them and the bristles wear out, we'll end up just scrapping the whole attachment and buying a new one. Seems pretty wasteful, but if I can save $300 every time we need new bristles and have the scrap value afterwards, it's a win-win situation for me. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one.